Welcome, partner, to Smash Fiction, the podcast where we pit two or more fictional characters against one another in a battle of strength, or wits, or beating the devil round the stump till the other buckaroos all beer and Skittles, and see who would win. This week, Vash the Stampede versus Roland Deschain. Mr. Roland, tell me I'm mistaken. I heard a rumor that you were fixing to venture through Crossover Pass. I may be, said Roland, looking up from his cold meat and warm beer at the duster and tin star that had just sauntered into the saloon. But you have me at a disadvantage, Si. I'm Tyree Parkin, the sheriff of that town. Which town is that now? That town. The town you're in right now. Roland thought back to the sign that he passed last night when he entered this small attempt at a village at the foot of a mighty cliff. The sign had read, "That Town," which apparently was the name of this town. At this time, however, that seemed less strange to him than the ancient monstrosity of glass and metal which loomed over the town that its citizens insisted on calling a plant. It certainly didn't look like any vegetation he'd seen on Midworld, or any other world for that matter. Well, now, I heard rumors that you had a certain tendency for getting yourself into altercations. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't going to be causing any trouble in this town. No, I'll be leaving this town in a few hours. No, not this town. There's a town halfway through Crossover Pass called this town, and I got family in this town. I just want to make sure that you weren't going to cause any trouble over there in this town. Cry pardon, but you're the sheriff of this town, which is called that town, and you're worried about me causing trouble in that town, which is called this town. Precisely. Please set my mind at ease and assure me that you aren't traveling to this town to try to claim that bounty on the humanoid typhoon. I do not know what the humanoid typhoon is, and I do not seek it. An oracle told me that I must travel through this Crossover Pass if I wish to reach the Dark Tower. This is my quest, and I shall let no distraction deter me from it. You've never really heard of Vash the Stampede? He's some sort of outlaw, a harrier? Said Roland, taking another bite of what the saloon owner had called close enough to a hamburger that you won't be able to tell. He's a whirlwind of death, said Tyree Parkin. He massacred the entire town in July. If he sees you as a threat, well then you're buzzard food. And a man like you with two big shiny guns like those, well, you don't exactly blend in. And there's a bounty on his head, asked Roland. $60 billion double dollars. Roland knew what a dollar was. He tried to contemplate one person wealthy enough to own 60 billion pieces of paper, and then tried to picture double that number. The scale of it made his mind swim with vertigo. With resources like that at his disposal, finding the Dark Tower would become a trivial task. You may set your watch and warrant on it, Si Parkin. I will not alter my course from the tower in pursuit of this bounty. Sheriff Parkin nodded and walked away. But if he stands between me and the tower, muttered Roland to himself, then may Ka show him mercy, for I will not. Meanwhile, in this town... Mr. the Stampede, didn't you hear what I told you? There's a man who's passing through town tomorrow who's unlike anything you faced before. A gunslinger. He's death incarnate. Why aren't you more afraid? Vash the Stampede merrily swayed back and forth to the music of the saloon jukebox, a beer in each hand. Those are some pretty nasty rumors, but I'm sure this Roland fellow isn't as bad as they say, proclaimed Vash. That's right, said Millie. I mean, remember all the terrible things that people used to say about Mr. Vash? Are you guys nuts, said Meryl. There's no shortage of trigger-happy wackos in this desert, and they seem drawn to Vash like mosquitoes. I don't see why this Roland creep would be any different. How'd you hear this rumor, Mr.? I'm Tyree Parkin, the sheriff of this town. It was in a letter from my brother, the sheriff of that town. Meryl cocked her head slightly. We just passed through that town. Wasn't the sheriff there also named Tyree Parkin? Yes, ma'am, you'd be right about that. All us Parkins are sheriffs around in this town or that there town over yonder, and all us bear the given name of Tyree. And unfortunately, the rumors about Roland are certainly not exaggerated. Have you ever heard of the town of Tull? Of course I have, shouted Vash as he plopped down into an unoccupied seat at the table, an enormous smile plastered across his face. We passed through there about 2 months ago. Lovely folks, every one of them. The beautiful Alice, Sheb and his piano, even crazy old Nort, who used to do this funny joke where he'd chew a bunch of grass. I don't know if he's pretending to be a cow or what, but it was funny. All of them are dead at Roland's hand, said Sheriff Parkin. The entire town, and no one knows why. Vash went quiet, the smile gone from his face. A moment later, he stood and walked towards the door. Mr. Vash? Said Millie. If he comes here, said Vash, I'll do what it takes to protect you. Is he going to be all right? Asked the sheriff. Vash is usually a gentle soul, said Meryl, but sometimes he gets scary. Well, said Millie, let's hope this town is big enough for the two of them. Roland is passing through the small town of this town on the way to the Dark Tower. Vash the Stampede is waiting for him. Both men have heard some rumors about each other, some true and some false, and so each think the other is a ruthless killer who can't be reasoned with. The fight will start on the main street at noon, but if it goes on long enough, it may spill into nearby buildings and side streets. There are also some innocent people hiding in those nearby buildings, so Vash isn't willing to use the angel arm in this fight under any circumstances. And to be clear, we are using Roland only as he appears in the Dark Tower novels, and Vash only as he appears in the Trigun anime. This is Roland at the end of the first book in the Dark Tower series, so he still has all his fingers. But which space cowboy, or interdimensional cowboy as the case may be, is going to end today on the right side of the snakes, and which one is going to be as dead as a Rocky Mountain canary? I have no idea. I misunderstood exactly which characters were supposed to be in this match, and instead spent all week watching episodes of Mystic Knights of Tirnanog and episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation where Picard has an on-again, off-again relationship with a certain morally gray archaeologist. Come on, guys! Roland and Vash! Ha-ha!
That's good. That's real good.
That is why I, Claire Mulcairn, will be your judge this week. Representing Team Vash the Stampede are Dan Mulcairn and Raphael Medina.
Hey guys, if you hear some crying from the other room, I don't want anybody to freak out. It's just my daughter. Valentinez Alcalanella Gifac Susidabo Heres Gumbi Gobella Blue Stradivari Talented Pierre Andre Charten Hemos Ivanovici Baldus George Deutzel Kaiser the Fourth.
And representing Team Roland Deschain are Miles Schneiderman.
I do not shit with my butt. He who shits with his butt has forgotten the face of his father.
No, this is the worst.
I shit with my mouth, motherfucker.
Oh, it's terrible. And Matthias Tautimes.
Matthias, your argument here, just so you know, it looks really heavy.
That's because it's full of bullshit.
In order to see who's going first this week, I made each team choose a champion and square off in a showdown here in downtown Tucson, Arizona, pistols at high noon. Miles from Team Roland forgot the face of his father and tried to aim with his mind, shoot with his heart, and kill with his small intestines, and ended up missing entirely. Dan from Team Vash refused to fire his gun at all, instead advocating for love and peace. So neither team really succeeded at the task they were assigned, but I guess Team Vash taught us a lesson? So Team Vash is going first this week, followed by Team Roland.
Let that be a lesson to you to choose your opening zingers more carefully next time.
Team Vash, opening arguments are an incessant series of problems, all difficult with brutally limited choices and a time limit.
On a dusty planet colloquially called Gunsmoke, there walks a being of unparalleled tactics, intelligence, strength, endurance, speed, and determination. A humanoid power plant clad in a casual BDSM fashion-forward long coat known as the legendary outlaw, the humanoid typhoon, and mankind's first official human disaster, certain celebutants and politicians notwithstanding. He is Vash the Stampede, and his skills and power set are what happens after someone builds a D&D character using loaded dice and the most damningly compromising photos of the GM doing unspeakable things with Crisco, a garden hose, and headless discount store display mannequins, and not even the good high-end impressionist ones. Dan, how completely ruinous would these photos have to be to force you to allow such a game-breakingly overpowered character into your Western campaign?
Oh, I had just assumed you were talking about Dan.
Speed,
I'm not ashamed of what I do.
Speed, this species got hops. Not only is he fast enough to dodge automatic gunfire from over 200 men shooting at him simultaneously, and the combined efforts of a city of thousands trying to gun him down, he can outrun a vault door he's blown off a bank and surf the damn thing like some kind of goddamn Sergio Leone take on Point Break. He maintains a superhuman sprint for miles and faced enemy fire in a narrow alley, used the discharge to mask his own pair of shots, which disarmed his opponent, dodged through the projectile barrage, and stopped aside the foe, pistol to his chin, before the projectiles hit the wall Vash was beside. And then, after Gosef Nebraska fired his supersonic drill hand, Vash closed distance and made a diving one-handed 5-round trick shot, which struck with mathematical perfection, diverting the tank-like projectile from its course, having fired all 5 shots before the first round even hit the target. Vash's aim is 100% accurate, and he can't miss if he tries. This extends beyond his total firearms mastery into improvised projectiles, both fired and flung, and unconventional weapons of opportunity. Vash is a goddamn math jockey, with all of the physics and trajectories he's got to keep in his head, be it whether he's throwing kegs at tables to flip guns to himself using strategic ricochets, or landing multiple headshots in microseconds with a child's dart gun. Vash does not know how to miss. His ability to assess angles enables not only his bullet dodging, it allows him to locate an invisibility-cloaked sniper miles out of town by doing fucking trigonometry in his head while under fire. Add to it that Vash is always firing on the move, and it's like trying to hit an ADHD-afflicted death weasel with Darkseid's infallible aim and a PhD in physics. Vash's skills directly inform his superior battle tactics and strategy. He can engineer and improvise traps and decoys mid-battle with an efficacy and precision that makes MacGyver look like he's playing with fucking Duplo blocks after an illegal hit-filled career as a Browns quarterback. Twice, he's created a turret using his pistol from an oblique angle and ambushed using his robot arm gun. What's with Japanese-created light-haired pretty boys in dark clothes and red coats and their metallic limbs anyway? I mean, between Vash, Edward Elric, and Smashverse canon Dante Sparta, it's a disarming trend. Anyway, he's also able to throw his voice in defiance of God and Isaac Newton. He shot up cars to cause strategic controlled building demolitions, toppling rubble onto pursuing giant sandworms. Vash is the master of his environment because he has perfected that one skill which cannot be taught: flawless and total situational awareness. Atop that, his tactic of playing the clown is akin to the strategy of drunken boxing masters, or the mischievousness of Yoda. It's meant to lull the opponent into a false sense of security and obscure the master's unmatched prowess. He can afford to play his role like he's in a Monty Python skit because he has the skills to resolve the situation. If that weren't enough, Vash is preternaturally strong and persistent with an endurance that would cause an inanimate block of adamantium to break a sweat just thinking about him. He carries people in a broken passenger vehicle compartment over his head through the desert, throws handguns which knock out foes half a football field away, and he kicks Monev the Gale, a Rob Liefeld interpretation of the Incredible Hulk after Liefeld spent a sleepless week snorting lethal volumes of cocaine and furiously weepsturbating, several yards backward with a single kick to his face. He has withstood countless successive blasts from Mid-Valley the Horn Freak's Saxomadethemophone, which leveled buildings with its power so that mind-controlled innocents would not be killed. His persistence, tactics, and determination to win will see him prevail, not only in a quick shootout, but in a protracted battle as well. Let's not forget the arsenal that Vash brings to the match either. Even discounting his no, fuck you, angel arm, he carries a 6-shooter fuck-off magnum, his automatic-enabled fuck-off robot arm, and Nicholas Wolfwood's fuck-off crucifix gun, the wet dream of the American Bible Belt. Guns or God? Now you don't have to choose. And over 100 superhuman years of dealing with a much higher caliber of enemy than Roland Deschain. A much fairer fight between Roland Deschain would be Grammaton cleric John Preston and not this indomitable Mary Sue playing a blackmailed game with unlimited skill points in every stat. The Stephen King gunslinger's only real option here is to flee and have some dust-caked little ragamuffin wail after him, "Deschain! Come back!" Because against Vash, he's simply outmatched, outclassed, outsmarted, and wait a minute. It'll come to me. Nope. Fuck it. I lost it, guys.
I get that Roland is good with a gun. I even get that he's ruthless, significantly more ruthless than Vash, but Trigun is a series about Vash going up against ruthless killers with bizarre, unpredictable, and deadly weapons, not to mention legit superpowers, who all survived as the biggest dogs in an alien desert. None of them were enough, because being skilled and ruthless isn't enough when you're up against Vash the Stampede. Roland's crowning moment of awesome in The Gunslinger, if not the entire Dark Tower saga, is the Battle of Tull, where an entire village attacks him. Roland slaughters all of them. 39 men, 14 women, 5 children. An impressive body count to be sure, but let's take a look at who exactly Roland was killing. These were regular-ass villagers, not a true fighter or warrior among them. Their weapons included shovels, pitchforks, knives, rocks, sticks, and cooking implements. Not one of them had a gun. The book even points out that most of the villagers had never even seen a gun. And yet, Roland does not come out of this unscathed. He gets hit several times, mainly by thrown implements, including a stick that hits him right between the eyes. By the end of the battle, he's, quote, bleeding from perhaps 20 different wounds. Imagine if these villagers had been properly armed. If instead of throwing sticks and rocks, they were firing bullets. If Roland can't dodge a thrown stick, he can't dodge a bullet. Compare this to the Trigun episode Hard Puncher, where the population of an entire village learns who Vash is and starts coming after him. And they're not just armed with random improvised weapons. They have pistols, rifles, shotguns. One of them even comes after Vash with a rocket launcher. And this isn't like in the Gunslinger, where this is the result of specific machinations from the Man in Black. This just happened when the townsfolk learned about the bounty on Vash's head, which means that Vash has to deal with this shit on the reg anytime he sets down stakes in a new town. Oh yeah, and where Roland took multiple hits from thrown weapons in his version of this story, Vash, who was being shot at by villagers while being chased through a town that they knew better than him, didn't get hit once. And this, you see, is going to be Roland's downfall in this match. Roland's guns were said to be crafted from the metal of Excalibur itself, but the book never really goes in depth as to what exactly that means. One would imagine that they're probably durable, and likely have very accurate sighting, but even that's just guessing. The books never go out of their way to detail any powers the guns might have, and they go out of their way to detail a great many things in that story. Critically, one part of Roland's arsenal that isn't remarkable is his bullets. At one point, Roland even just gets regular-ass ammunition from a trip to New York City, ammo which he uses pretty much for the entirety of the book series. All the gun is designed to do is aim the bullet and ignite the gunpowder. It doesn't matter what your metal gun is made of, it won't make your bullets any faster, and that means that Roland just plain won't be able to hit Vash. Don't believe me? Consider the innumerable times throughout Trigun when Vash is able to dodge bullets after they've left the gun. In Love and Peace, a corrupt sheriff has his pistol pointed at Vash's forehead from 3 inches away. He pulls the trigger. In the time between when the bullet leaves the barrel and travels those 3 inches, Vash dodges out of the way. In Demon's Eye, Vash is up against the deadly Dominique the Cyclops, who is able to paralyze him with a glance. On 2 separate occasions, she positions herself so that her gun is right up against his head, and both times, he's still able to dodge the bullet that she fires. The time that it takes the bullet to travel from its chamber to exiting the barrel is more than enough time for Vash to get out of the way. In Quick Draw, Vash is participating in a live ammunition quick draw tournament. Vash, while in the audience, uses pebbles to knock other duelists' bullets aside, turning lethal shots into just painful shots. I can't even begin to express the level of perception and reflexes he needs to pull this off. First of all, he needs to be able to tell which of the gunfighters is firing a lethal shot, and then hit the bullet in mid-flight with just enough force to knock it away from vital organs, but still allow it to hit its target. Needless to say, no one catches him pulling off this trick because no one but Vash is capable of reacting after a bullet has already left the gun. And the thing is, he does this so consistently that no one in this contest suffers a fatal wound. That's right, a 100% success rate at deflecting bullets with pebbles from hundreds of feet away. If this match was a shooting contest, and these guys were trying to see which of them could take out stationary targets faster or more accurately, I could see this being kind of close. I mean, Vash would still win by a comfortable margin, but Roland at least would get the opportunity to look cool and actually hit something. But when your victory depends upon you taking down Vash the Stampede with a gun, well, cause a wheel. Maybe on its next turn you'll get lucky and you won't have to go up against the humanoid typhoon.
Wow, Team Vash, I've never seen anyone kick so much ass in my entire life. Team Roland, some opening arguments that last 5 minutes spawn legends that live 1,000 years. And some are rewritten when new editions of the book come out.
Let me tell you about the first mistake Vash is making simply by existing in the scenario of this match. He's giving Roland Deschain, Roland, son of Stephen, old, long, tall, and ugly himself, the really bad man, Roland of Gilead, the last gunslinger, time to prepare. That is just really not a good idea. There are at least 3 major battles in the Dark Tower series in which a single-digit number of fighters defeats an army thanks to Roland's tactics. When he was 14, he and 2 of his friends ambushed a group of bandits, killing about 25, including the leader, and scattering the rest, all without suffering a scratch. The boys also tricked a much larger army into riding headlong into a box canyon where, in keeping with Roland's plans, they were painfully devoured by a magical murder lake. Later in life, Roland and 6 companions, half of whom had never been in a battle before, successfully took on I swear this is true, 60 Doombots wielding lightsabers and throwing around Harry Potter golden snitches that explode.
If I hadn't read the book, I would not believe you.
It's true.
However, I have read the book, so go on.
Thank you, Your Honor. Only one of the 7 died during the combat. The other 6 were completely fine. The Doombots were all completely destroyed. Still later, Roland drew up plans to attack Algol Siento, a prison complex/college campus for psionicists trying to destroy the universe. He had 3 fighters against a crap ton of monster guards with animal heads and machine guns, but they won that battle too. Easily. Your Honor, there's a reason that Natasha Kingston and I have been so frustrated with Dark Tower's total absence of stakes over on the Unspoiled Dark Tower podcast, which everybody totally listens to. Roland doesn't lose. You give him time to come up with a strategy and decide where and how the battle begins, you just bought yourself a first-class ticket to the clearing at the end of the path.
The first impression of any character is an important one. For Vash the Stampede, it was a lone gunman, standing untouched in a crumbling bar. He lifts his weapon, he pulls the trigger. Click. And then Vash proceeds to freak the hell out because he has no bullets. This is Vash in a nutshell, intimidating, calm, and just plain cool for about 3 seconds. He doesn't plan, he improvises, and these improvisations rarely work out the way he intends. Vash is captured in several episodes and loses or even relinquishes his gun in more. He's outwitted by children with self-admitted terrible sob stories. Beautiful women drag him along without any resistance. The 4th gung-ho gun shot his gun out of his hand. A drunkard was able to out-wrestle and force a very non-consensual smooch on him. Hell, he even nearly KO'd himself once by getting overexcited and punching himself in the face.
So yeah, Roland is clearly a better strategist than Vash, but I can see the counter-arguments about Roland always having a group with him and relying heavily on ambush tactics coming all the way from, let's say, Los Angeles, so let's drop the strategy thing for a minute and just talk about Roland as a gunfighter, or rather, a gunslinger, because that's the second mistake Vash is making just by being here. You don't outgun Roland of Gilead, you just don't. Everyone who's ever tried is dead. The Dark Tower series is brimming with testimonials to the speed of Roland's draw. Quote, his draw was as it always had been, sick or well, wide awake or still half asleep, faster than a streak of blue summer lightning. He can't be that fast, Eddie Dean thinks during the 3rd book. No one can be that fast. In Book 7, an enemy attempts to kill Roland by suddenly drawing in the middle of a conversation between them. Quote, and although he was fast, and the forefinger of Roland's left hand still touched the side of his mouth when Flaherty's draw began, the gunslinger beat him easily. And that draw does not come with any lack of accuracy. Roland spends the entire series shooting guns out of people's hands, shooting projectiles out of the air, and getting headshot after headshot after headshot. At various points, he fires accurately while falling, without looking at his target, and while riding a horse with the reins in his teeth. Seeing that in this scenario he still has both his hands, he can still utilize a logic-defying reloading trick, and can attack with not 1, but 2 massive revolvers that are incidentally made out of Excalibur. Yes, that Excalibur. Yes, really. Dan. They blow enormous holes in things, have vaporized half a man's head on multiple occasions, and are, prophetically, one of the only weapons that can kill the Satan-like supernatural villain known as the Crimson King. Between the drawing, the reloading, the accuracy, and the caliber, anyone who messes with Roland is getting rapidly riddled with bullet holes of unusual size, and that includes both shape-shifting were-spider demigods and pacifist plant people who use too much gel.
Vash's fighting style is an ancient martial art invented by a long-dead civilization, refined over generations, and referred to today simply as running the hell away. An art he's perfected so well he can perform it while whining out loud, "Why does this keep happening to me? I haven't done anything wrong, but I'm always in trouble and everyone's always picking on me." Vash's signature weapon, the .45 Long Colt, one of 2 siblings, was forged by Knive Millions in order to wipe the planet Gunsmoke clean of humans. Knives may be many things, a sociopath, a spider killer, and a snappy dresser, but he's no gunsmith. You know who is? The legendary gunsmith Frank Marlin. Even drunk, Marlin knew that gun was bad. Vash agreed, consenting the gun was, quote, 3 inches off from only 10 yards. Even after repairing it, Marlin hadn't changed the fundamental flaws in the weapon. Vash has significantly less ammunition than Roland. The barrel's in the 6 o'clock position. The aim pulls to the left. And the gun he wields is designed to be used in the left hand, and Vash shoots righty. And let me tell you something, Vash is no Inigo Montoya.
While I would hardly call it his crowning achievement, the scene that probably best sums up Roland's sheer lethality does come near the beginning of the first book, when the population of an entire town is magically induced into trying to kill him, and instead, he kills the town. Like all of them, men, women, and children. There's no plan here, no strategy, just one man against a mob, and he drops every single resident like they're nothing. Quote, they never hesitated or faltered, although every shot he fired found a vital spot. And also, quote, he blasted his way through the middle of them, running as the bodies fell, his hands picking the targets with dreadful accuracy. His hands picking the targets. Think about that for a sec. Oh wait, Roland just shot you. Here's one more for you. Quote, without a thought, and seemingly without a click of motor relays, the gunslinger had drawn his pistols. Roland fired 3 times before he could gain control of his traitor hands. He shoots faster than he can think. His hands move more quickly than his brain. Roland in combat is canonically faster than the speed of thought. With his skill and his speed employed at the same time, you might as well be fighting an act of God.
Upon stepping into April City, the entire city draws arms on Vash in an attempt to cash in on that sweet, sweet $60 billion bounty. At first, this does seem to mirror, perhaps even outshine Tull, but look closer. The people of April City are reluctant. This man just saved them from a gang that had taken several hostages, including Vash. They don't want him dead, but that money sure would help the town. They have him dead to rights on more than one occasion, but they can't do it. When he's running and jumping and screaming like a ninny, sure, they pull the trigger, but when he's literally inches from the barrels of their guns, they can't do it.
By the way, you want to know the first person Roland kills at the start of that town killing thing? It's the local girl he's been sleeping with. Roland Deschain is a relentless, merciless, cold-blooded killer. He has no qualms whatsoever about murder. He does not hesitate when he has a kill shot. If you're in his way, he will mow you down without a second thought. And that's the third mistake Vash is making merely by daring to show up tonight. He is standing between Roland and the Dark Tower, and that is something that Roland will not abide. At this point in his history, he has already sacrificed his friends, allowed the woman he loved to be burned at the stake, and personally dropped his surrogate son to his death in pursuit of the tower. In his life to come, he will travel across worlds, inhabit other people's bodies, engage in riddling contests with insane locomotives, and meet his actual maker for one reason and one reason only. He must reach the tower. Now, I don't give a fuck what anime you come from. You try to keep Roland from that goal, you are eagerly embracing your own destruction.
Vash has 2 goals in life. Eat donuts and don't hurt anyone. Roland has no interest in stopping Vash from obtaining these, but if Vash decides to step between Roland and his one goal, the tower, well, as Miles said, Roland won't hesitate to kill him. And this is where the most important point of the entire match lies. Your Honor, if you forget everything else, remember this one point. Vash the Stampede will not kill. To avoid killing, hell, to avoid fighting, Vash goes to extreme lengths. His body is a patchwork of stitches, scars, and iron supports that hold him together because, as he admits, his way of life is sloppy. In one episode, he actually strips naked and barks like a dog rather than fight men he could have easily outgunned. He freaks out when he injures one of the Badlands gang members, his own wound bleeding out as he bandages the guy who was literally trying to murder him. Vash kills one single person in the entire series, Legato. A mob of mind-controlled townsfolk come to shoot and stab the living hell out of Vash. Legato tells him kill or be killed. He was likely willing to die, but then Legato added in Millie and Merrill, who were being kicked and beaten to death before a desperate Vash finally pulled the trigger and ended Legato's life. And it wrecked him. He was unconscious for 10 days, wept openly to Rem, and was willing to let a mob murder the shit out of him because he was now a sinner like everyone else. I ask you, Your Honor, can you envision a scenario in which Vash will kill Roland? Because if you can't, Roland wins. He won't stop because he's out of ammunition. He won't stop because he's lost his weapons or because Vash shot him in his arms and legs. Vash's only route to victory is killing Roland Deschain, and frankly, he won't take the shot. Honestly, Roland has a lot more to fear from Merrill and Millie.
Well, I think we all do, in fairness.
Yeah.
Well, great job, everyone. Now it's time for rebuttals. But not for you, Gunslinger. Because Team Vash the Stampede is going first. Team Vash, let's see if you can try and gun down all the points that Team Roland made in their opening arguments. Oh, I'm sorry, let me say that better. Team Vash, let's see if you can try and gun down all the points. Try.
Yeah, sure.
Gun.
That's a great joke. Good job, Judge.
I mean, if you don't try, there's no Trigun, right?
Do or do not gun.
Right,
There is no Trigun.
There it is.
God. What did
I was
sign
trying to
up
make
for?
that work, Claire. I'm really happy that you did it because I was having trouble with it.
All
So.
right, I figured it out.
One thing that Miles brought up was the moment in Wizard and Glass when Roland and his buddies have to take on this group of ruffians, and so they lure them into this canyon where essentially a dimensional rift takes out the gang for them. And that totally makes sense because the three young gunslingers are skilled, but they can't possibly take on a few dozen criminals by themselves. But then we see in the Trigun episode Goodbye for Now, which Raphael referenced, where Vash and Wolfwood take down a gang of about 200 hardened criminals, each armed with automatic weapons. The gang knows they are coming and begins opening fire as soon as they appear. And then the next cut we see is the gang lying incapacitated in the ruins of their base, and neither Vash nor Wolfwood has a single wound on them.
That's really nice for them, I guess. First of all, it's not a few dozen people. They dealt with the few dozen people earlier. This was a massive army sworn to John Farson, organized, highly trained, well-armed. And, I guess, again, if Roland was an idiot, then he could have taken his boys up to fight the people and kind of trusted that his luck and his skill would have won the day. It may yet have done. We'll never know because Roland is too smart for that and instead decided to lure them into a murder trap.
Let's not oversell the vast bulk of people Vash fights. If they don't have gung-ho in front of their name, they're chuckle fucks. Most of these people barely know which end of the gun to point the right way.
We're talking about people who come from an entire culture that worships guns.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Matthias, because one other point that you brought up was Vash sort of being a doofus. He draws his gun at the beginning and there's no bullets in it. He sort of acts like a clown a lot of the time. But really what that is he knows that no one is basically a threat to him unless they're the gung-ho guns. When he's up against someone who isn't a threat, he feels like he can act like a doofus because, in all honesty, he doesn't really want to hurt them. When he is up against someone who's a threat, that's when you see him get serious, and that's when you see him do really amazing, hardened, focused actions. So if Roland is the threat that you present him as, then Vash is going to be focused, and he's not going to be this clown. And if Vash is a clown, it means that Roland isn't really worth his time.
Once again, that's building up on Vash putting up a facade of incompetence in order not only to throw off his enemies and make them underestimate him. The reason that he acts like a doofus is also because he is trying to minimize the amount of lives cost. In that situation that Matthias referenced, where the quote-unquote chucklefucks, all of whom also seem to be from a gun-worshipping society, because fucking everybody has one. The thing is that thing where he is begging the women in the bar to not shoot is they have created a crossfire to themselves. Vash isn't going to let himself get shot, so he's going to dodge out of the way, but that crossfire can potentially hurt someone. And as you pointed out, these are the chucklefucks. Dominique the Cyclops has a gun underneath his fucking chin, and he gets out of the way when he's shot at. Roland can fire all he wants, but he cannot hit Vash.
First off, have you looked at what he looks like underneath the red outfit? That's the entire point of him, not ever wanting to strip or anything. He has spent his life pursuing this very sloppy tactic, and it has cost him. On the sand steamer, we were talking about chucklefucks. He gets shot by one of the Badland gang's henchmen. He is bleeding out in that scene while he's trying to help the guy who, by the way, he accidentally shot in a more vital area than he intended. That's his strategy.
But he didn't miss.
Well, he missed if he was aiming for non-vital.
Vash doesn't know Roland, and I'm sure, he takes the threat of somebody who killed an entire town very seriously, but, he doesn't understand what he's up against. No matter how you spin it, Roland is much more of a gunfighter than anyone Vash has ever encountered, so Vash is going to be taken off guard, and I'm not convinced that he won't initially come out with the clown mentality and just get his ass shot right at the beginning, because he doesn't really seem to take his fight seriously.
Those are some great rebuttals, Team Vash, but the world has moved on from your turn, because now it's Team Roland's turn.
So you're talking about trying to compare Roland to people like the Gung-Ho Guns. The problem is the people that Vash has been fighting are there specifically to torture Vash, to kill Vash, to hurt those he loves. Roland is there for the tower. Roland's success in this scenario is simply getting past Vash. He's willing to kill, but he doesn't actually need to defeat him in the same way that Vash needs to defeat Roland.
So wait, you were saying earlier that Vash is the sort of person that will run away from a fight, but now you're saying that Roland is going to run away from this fight?
I'm saying
just that he doesn't need to if he doesn't want to.
They're on a one-on-one gunfight to start with, so he has no reason to adopt the clown persona. But additionally, it's not uncommon and unheard of that Vash has made allies with people he has fought before. He doesn't need to kill Roland in order to defeat him. He needs to get to a point, much like he does with all the people that he talks with, to a point where he can reason and negotiate with them and say, hey, we're not exactly enemies here. I may have defeated you, but we don't have to kill each other.
Let me tell you something about Roland Deschain. Once the shooting starts, there's no negotiation. There's no reasoning. There's just fighting until the guy on the other side of Roland goes down. I am glad that you brought up the thing about Vash, talking to people, because y'all were talking something about how Vash, I guess, got experience running for his life because every town wants to turn in the bounty on him. I don't know. There's no guarantee that this town won't turn on him too.
Once again, he's just trying to make sure that in the crossfire, he's sparing other lives. And additionally...
and while he's doing that, we'll shoot him in the face.
And additionally, Roland seems to rely an awful lot on an awful lot of other people, whereas Vash has been shown to single-handedly handle situations by himself. Vash goes up single-handedly against slews of people, and nobody's dead.
The win conditions here are either Roland goes by to get to the Dark Tower, or Vash stops him. Do you really believe there's any way you're going to stop Roland Deschain without killing him?
Vash stops plenty of people without killing them. He's able to knock people unconscious with gunshots. There's a duel in Badlands Rumble where this cyborg criminal keeps trying to shoot Vash, and Vash keeps shooting his gun away and eventually cripples the guy using gunshots, defeating him without killing him.
Let me tell you why that's not going to work on Roland. Roland demonstrates throughout the entire series a supernatural amount of mental prowess and toughness. He can wake himself up and put himself to sleep instantly. He resists the mental and emotional domination of demons. He, mentally overcomes his body's limitations at every turn. When he sees, the universe, when Walter shows it to him, he survives that experience and he shouldn't have. The regular techniques for knocking somebody unconscious or taking them out in any way are not going to work on Roland. Dan, you said Tull was his crowning achievement, and while it's a good example of what he can do, his crowning achievement, that couldn't be further from the books. His crowning achievement's the entire series. He spends the entire series fucking murdering people who get in his way. Nobody ever threatens him at any point, and we're talking about a world where the supernatural definitely exists.
Roland does take an awful long time to recover from losing his fingers in the second book. That's a physical wound, and he's basically in a fever state for the rest of that book.
Because he was poisoned, Dan.
But, we even see that after he loses his fingers, he loses the ability to use that hand to shoot bullets, which, again, the bullets are no good against Vash. Vash is simply too fast for Roland to hit, regardless of what metal his
Vash
but
has
not
never
fast enough
encountered
to
anyone.
dodge the Badland henchmen that shot him.
Matthias, the point that you're talking about, where the Badlands henchmen are able to shoot him, he comes around a corner, distracted. The two guys are standing within arm's reach of him, both of whom have automatic rifles, both of whom open fire. Roland does not have automatic weapons. He cannot shoot.
He might as well.
And even if he could, he only has 12 bullets he's going to be putting out.
He actually has 81 shots.
Yeah, he has 81. He reloads in half a second.
Vash, in that situation, gets hit once and takes out 2 opponents. If Roland does the same thing, he will hit Vash once, and Vash will take him out.
After just a few minutes of intense bullet-flying action in which both master marksmen suffered a few minor grazes but no fatal wounds, the town has been riddled in bullet holes, shaken by explosions, stuff is on fire, and both men find themselves squaring off inside the saloon. Panting, sweaty, and bloody, both men raise their guns one last time, too tired to dodge. Whoever fires first will win, and click, click, both men have run out of ammo. At that moment, they hear clapping as a figure in a suit and tie pushes his way through the Batwing doors. Bravo, bravo, what style, what form, what raw, untamed, and yet vulnerable masculinity. You two possess the exact look that I have been searching for. Well met, said Roland. Who might you be? My name is Tyree Parkin. I'm a record producer from that there town over yonder records.
Dear God.
I thought all the members of the Parkin family were sheriffs, said Vash. Sheriff Tyree Parkin popped up from behind the bullet-ridden husk of the saloon counter. Most are, he said, but Tyree over there is somewhat of a black sheep in the family. I would be most interested in signing the two of you to our new country western boy band supergroup that I have been assembling. Tyree unrolled a laminated poster from a cardboard tube that he had been carrying and laid it out on what remained of a card table. There were 7 male silhouettes in shadow, all wearing cowboy hats and standing in various unreasonably sexy and or mysterious poses. A single word was written across the bottom of the poster. Magnificent. Except the F in the middle of the word was replaced by a 7. So,
No.
Magnificent? I think we'll pass, said Vash. Thank you very much for the offer, though. You see, you don't have a choice, said Parkin, the record producer one. Explain why, brother. We have a bit of a deal set up where if there are any troublemakers in my town that my younger brother here takes liking to, I let him offer them an exclusive and highly exploitative record deal as an alternative to the gallows. And based on the damage that you two have managed to cause here in this town today, I think y'all qualify for this particular arrangement. So, y'all done been shanghaied into participating in the 7-person country boy band called Magnificent. But before you can go any further, we need to fill out the rest of this band by drafting additional budding superstars from other pieces of Western and Western-adjacent media. Team Vash went first. Team Roland went a split second later because your reflexes were all so fast. Who do you want to draft first into this group? And after you're done filling out the roster for this boy band, you're going to need to answer the questions: what is your stage name and stage persona? What kind of outfit do you wear? What is the name of your upcoming album and title track? Bonus points if you sing me that hot hook from the chorus. What location from your own world do you want to stage a concert? And what will you do to make sure that you put on a show there that is unforgettable? Team Roland, who do you want to take as your first draft pick to add into this boy band?
If we're doing 2.5 each, obviously the half that I've picked has to go to the best Western ever. 5-0 goes west, so 5-0 Mouskowitz.
All right.
Yeah, he only counts as half. He's tiny.
Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
He's already got experience singing, and plus, when, the paparazzi gets too much on them, he just gives them the lazy eye.
All right, we got the furry crowd nailed down, which is good. That's an important demo nowadays.
Does 5-0 count for furries? Feels wrong.
Everything counts for the furries.
All right, Team Vash, how about you?
I feel like our first pick has to be El Kabong.
Oh, God.
Yes.
So, got a guitar player in our midst.
We are splitting
Sounds
the
great.
furry vote down the middle.
That's right.
All right, Team Roland, what you got next?
Next up for us will be Marco from the Saga comic series. He's being brought on because he has magic powers and also eventually kind of sneakily displacing Vash as the pacifist one. So, that's just a long-term plan to kick Vash out of the band.
Team Vash.
Okay, for this next one, I feel that there is part of me that would ultimately be betrayed if we did not have the dueling Meadly versus Squeedly lead guitar attack of El Kabong paired with El Mariachi, Antonio Banderas, El Mariachi, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
We are dragging this thing away from a boy band. If it's not.
I know, I was going to say, do you guys understand what a boy band is? We have 3 people with guitars. All right, there's 1 slot left.
Obviously, if you want the good looks and the charm and the stuff that's going to sway all the crazy tweens and teens worldwide, you've got to go with Josh Faraday from Magnificent Seven, as portrayed by Chris Pratt. Because obviously
I will
he's going to be channeling Star-Lord, and there's going to be some amazing dancing in there.
I will see you one Josh Faraday and raise you one Malcolm Reynolds.
I
Space
mean,
Western.
that's so obvious.
Yeah, but is it boy band?
Also, that motherfucker can't sing.
Can he dance?
Come on.
Miles,
It's
you of
all in
people
the
should
studio.
know-
Oh,
yeah,
that's
Miles,
true.
you of
That's
all
true.
people should know you don't have to sing to be in a
That's
voice.
a good point. I take it back.
I'm going to level with you guys. I don't think anyone young enough to want to listen to a boy band knows who he is.
Well, they're going to have their minds blown.
I think I might let both of them in and kick out El Kabong. He didn't test well.
Obviously, if there's going to be any name for Roland when he's up there on stage, it's nothing but the Gunsinger. And, of course, the debut album, Shoot With My Heart. Tell me the 13, 14, 15-year-olds aren't going to be just swooning over that, because he's obviously the bad boy of the band. Now, of course, as the Gunsinger, he has the specialized mic that looks like a pair of his crossed pistols aimed out in the
Did he
audience.
melt the guns down and make a mic?
How else can you rock a mic that hard unless it's been forged from the metal of Excalibur itself? And I believe we were going to have our first concert at Calibrin Sturgis.
Yeah, so obviously it's going to be at Calibrin Sturgis, where Roland dances the fucking Kamala and gets the entire town fucking out on his side. Clearly, that's where it's going to be. And we're going to just go ahead and, invite everybody over there from Endworld to show up to the concert. And when they get here, we're going to kill them.
That might hurt the bottom line there, profits.
They want to build long-term repeat customers with these album sales.
Just so you know, the people out in the audience, instead of marijuana before a crowd, are usually, they're up on that desert weed stuff.
Battleground.
Absolutely.
That'll kill ya.
Yeah, we'll get you pretty high first.
All right, here we go. So this is from the hit track off Roland's album, which is entitled Something About Rice, maybe?
That is a deep cut for Dark Tower readers.
All right, here we go. It goes a little something like this. Well, I lost my dad, and my country went mad. My girl got burned at the stake. All my buddies got shot, and it hurts me a lot. At least my mom's still here. Oh, wait. Still just chasing that man in black. Getting junkies off smack. I got sidekicks and schizos all day. But that tower still lingers, and I still ain't got fingers. There's really one thing left to say. Come, Kamala, what the hell does that mean? I don't even know, but this song will still sell better than Queen.
Oh.
That's it.
You can't see
Wow.
it. You can't see it, but I've got a lighter waving back and forth right now.
Oh, we can feel it. It was in the tone.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Team Vash, you're known for your bullets never missing their mark. How about your high notes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Number one with a bullet. Let me introduce you to the humanoid Heart Swoon.
Oh, God.
The humanoid Heart Swoon. His stage persona, he is a crazy dance lord like Michael Jackson. And he's known for running away from his groupies, carving his best girl's name into the moon, and showing his gung-ho guns.
That's right. When he's on stage, he likes to wear a tie around his head, largely because of the pre-gaming he does before the concert. This particular concert is being held in one of the many small towns in Gunsmoke. It's a big light show in front of a plant, and for those of you who don't know, a plant basically looks like a giant light bulb, but Vash is able to commune with plants, so he develops this light show worthy of Laser Floyd from this giant alien reactor.
I always wondered what a plant looked like. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, no, I got you, dude. It looks like a light bulb.
Right.
So the album name that he and the band have developed is 60 Billion Double Dollar Tunes, with the main track, which I believe Mr. Medina is going to be gracing us with, called Gung Ho Heart.
With absolutely no apologies to Billy Ray Cyrus. Don't tell my heart, my thumping gung-ho heart, I just don't think it understands. And if you tell my heart, my aching gung-ho heart, it mightn't blow up and kill this plant. Woo!
Very nice.
The double dollars will come rolling in.
Well, wonderful job, everybody. I gotta go think about this.
I actually have an argument on here. I don't know where it would have fit, but it was basically that Roland is capable of faster than the eye gun drawing, and Vash is capable of faster than the eye groping.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, he opens up Dominique the Cyclops' blouse from like 15 feet away without moving.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Although
Pretty impressive.
Roland does get laid an impressive number of times over the course of the Dark Tower series.
Does he shoot
that dude
them
gets
afterward?
around. Mostly.
Wow.
I mean, wait, he shoots the one. He doesn't shoot
The one.
He shoots Allie. He doesn't shoot Rosa.
So he's learning.
I just assumed that's what
fine.
you thought you did after sex.
Sex ed is
No,
not very...
What you do
key.
after sex, apparently, is shove your gun up into a lady's vagina to prevent children.
Listen, Roland has a
is it
very
effective?
limited
Is it an effective
skill
means of
selection.
contraception?
I mean, I would think so. I think maybe in this case you might prefer a coat hanger, but that's still very dangerous and nobody should do it. So
Yeah.
So I thought nothing was going to be worse than Miles' opening stinger, and yet
Right.
here we are.
Wow.
talking
Here
about
we are.
abortions.
Oh my god.
Look, it's not my fault that Stephen King is a weird guy, all right? Raphael, have you read any of the Dark Tower stuff?
I was going to take it up for this, but literally with the kiddo, I did not have
Oh, yeah.
time. I was going to watch the Dark Tower movie. And that was going to be an argument. Is like the scariest thing Roland has to go up against is Matthew McConaughey. And yeah, but no, I was going to watch that, and then I went to Dan and I'm like, hey Dan, how valid is this? And he's like, not. And I'm like, but maybe I'll watch
really
it.
not.
Maybe I'll watch it anyway. And I saw $3.99. Maybe I can watch it. And then I saw the reviews, and I'm like, not. So effectively, I'm flying into this blind with Dan as my Roland expert.
That's
That's
good.
right.
That's
At least Miles watched Trigun, right?
no, God, no. Hell no. I didn't watch any fucking Trigun.
I read the book and
I-
watched every episode.
Yeah, but T.S. was a trooper. He at least got through the first Gunslinger book, the revised edition, which I think is a little bit longer, because the first one, like the originally it's just like this kind of weird, like, drug-fueled fever dream.
You know what?
I mean, in fairness, the revised version is still
Yeah.
a little feverish.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
If Stephen King went
But,
back and like edited shit out, I would be very impressed with him.
It was either changing things or adding things. It wasn't really a lot of deletions.
If you guys want to talk about Trigun, you can. I just wanted to tell everybody that if you want to hear my opinions on the Dark Tower series, you should really go listen to Unspoiled Dark Tower with me and Natasha, where we go through it chapter by chapter. So I will
they're
tell
on the
you.
last book right now, and it is getting ugly over there.
It's the last one's rough, man. It's real bad.
I'm not going to argue with you for 1 second.
Okay, knowing that all of this shit is written out of chronological order, are you going chronologically or by release?
Well, I guess there are two books that are kind of extended flashbacks. But one of them is the 8th one, which was kind of written after the whole series was over, just kind of as a, fun little side thing.
Fun little give me money?
But the others pretty much follow a flow.
There's a very long flashback in the 4th book, but it all kind of makes sense within the overall narrative. Like, you have to have read the stuff before it to understand the context of the flashback.
I'm back, by the way.
Hey,
I'm here.
welcome
Hello,
back, Claire.
Hello. Yeah, this is one where I feel like I could go either way, and like I just kind of have to make a decision, and it's not, it's really not clear for me. I think there are two issues that I was really uncertain about. Can Vash dodge a bullet from Roland's gun, given how fast Roland's draw speed is? And then I was thinking about what you talked about, him dodging most of the automatic fire. And I think in order to do that, you have to be able to dodge bullets that are already midair traveling at you. That was a question. So it's like, regardless of Roland's draw speed, if he can dodge bullets once they've been fired, then the draw speed doesn't matter. And this was a very tough one, but I think I had to come down the side of, so he can dodge Roland's bullets after they've been fired. The draw speed makes it harder, but it doesn't make it impossible for Vash to dodge. And then the other thing I was not certain about was whether or not Vash is willing to kill and whether or not he's going to be able to disable Roland if he doesn't kill. And obviously he's going to take a lot more prodding to go to using lethal force than Roland is. He's going to start off trying to avoid doing it. I think honestly, Roland can get disabled by non-lethal force, like losing his fingers, I really think that both of these people are stronger than anything that the other one has faced in either of their respective works of fiction, like heads and shoulders, but I kind of think Vash is going to find a way in this one. I think I got to give it to Vash, but it is very close.
Right
More
on.
importantly, you gave it to Raphael.
Yes,
At
there
long
is also
last.
that. Regardless of which one I chose, I realized I had to make someone who's been a guest on this show and not won before win a match for the first time, and another person has to get it snatched away from them yet again. But
Okay. I was honestly somewhat rooting for Roland because after the Dark Tower movie, he really needed this win. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The TV show is going to be fun.
Is it?
That depends. Is Zack Snyder involved?
I mean, once I heard it was going to be Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey in the two lead roles, and I saw like the preview, like the teaser poster, I was like, this is going to be the greatest movie of all time.
Right? I know.
It
should have been so good. It should have been so good.
Then it really wasn't. It really wasn't.
Yeah, much like our opponent's arguments, but you know, you guys, kudos to you. Well done. I have no begrudgment on this one whatsoever because I felt like you guys did a really good job and we were up against a really strong opponent. So tip of the hat and go fuck yourself.
Likewise, guys, go fuck yourselves too.
I have some
From the bottom of our hearts.
Oh well, yeah, I know, Matthias. I'm sorry, but you know what? You can just like fucking show up later and hit him with a chair.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, both of you did such great work, and you're always such a pleasure to have on. And we very much hope that we get both of you on again sooner rather than later.
Hope to be back sooner.
You're talking about Raphael, right? Not me.
Raphael and Matthias.
Right? Yeah.
Not Miles. Miles,
Not
we
me.
could care less.
Yeah,
Miles,
no,
I mean,
fine.
you know, you do you, bro.
Take him or leave him.
Yeah, we'll call you Miles. We'll let you know.
Sure, absolutely.
This world is made of kid thanks.
Yay!
And by this world, I mean this part of the podcast.
Always.
Over to Twitter. Thank you to Robert Ramsey, Neil Butler, Hayden, who made a Discord group, Florian, Robert Ramsey again.
Oh, man.
Robert Ramsey, the return.
The wheel of cause turned again.
Matthias Santimas. Oh, hey, what's up?
Hey.
Cosplay Fiend, Tyler, Lake the Blank Jake,
What is going on?
Sandwich Surplus, and his podcast, Pop Culture Failure. Go listen to that Animorphs garbage. It's great. Andrew Young and his podcast, Lawful and Orderly, and the Shattered World RPG podcast. Over to Tumblr. Thank you to Sid Rabbit Blog, FatBlonde69,
Fat 69.
G Prime, and Ultra Anonymous Angel. We'll find out who you are one day. And on Facebook, thank you to Daniel Kidder.
And thank you also to Tyree Parkin, the multifaceted, multi-layered, multi-universe crossing.
The whole
Jared-
Parkin
Oh,
clan.
God.
Right?
I really
Yeah.
I assumed that was an inside joke about some piece of media I didn't experience.
like a
I
Nurse
didn't know that
Joy.
was our patron. Yeah.
that a Nurse Joy / maybe like
Officer Jenny.
multiple man sort of thing. But yes, Tyree Parkin, in his many forms and identities, is a patron of ours over at patreon.com. And because he gave us some money, he is written into our storyline and gets to enjoy the vast fields of bonus content that we offer, including getting to vote on matches like this one, which was voted on by our fans and was suggested to us by another one of our fans, William Cady, a good long while ago.
Yeah.
A good long while ago.
This one's been
Yes.
on the list for quite a while.
Yes, but we did it. It was a fan contribution extravaganza. I'm going to move on to a different topic now, one which I can read directly from a screen, and that is a new iTunes review.
Ooh.
Hey!
This one comes to us from either Sam Sprague or Sam Sprague. Not 100% sure, but this person gives us 5 stars in a review entitled Sassy Nerds. And the review goes, been listening to this podcast for a long time and hope to continue listening to it for even longer. These beautiful people take the boorish and grating pastime of nerds arguing pedantically about their media and turn it into something delightful.
I feel
Although it
attacked right now.
Yeah, it said specifically that Raphael that's occasionally on the show. Although I hesitate to call it refined or elegant, it is always well-produced and creative. Come for the zany debate shows, stay for the roleplay. All kinds of fiction are celebrated and pooped upon in equal measure. And yeah, we did a lot of pooping today. Thanks, Miles.
No problem.
He has
From
not
the mouth.
forgotten the
But
face of
from
his father.
where?
Matthias and or Raphael, do you guys have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, I do. Second verse, same as the first. Of course, I've just finished the last edit on my manuscript, my novel, The Paladin. It's kind of like a, think supernatural Sam and Dean kind of thing meets week's Men in Black. You can read the first 3 chapters up on my website. That's matiastautimez.com. And I am looking for beta readers right now if anyone wants to get a sneak peek of the whole thing before I send it off to agents.
You can pretty easily find Matthias on Twitter.
Yeah. I also keep a daily blog on there of everything I'm writing about. So
Actual daily.
A daily blog. That is insane.
It's ridiculous.
A writer that writes.
You're a ridiculous person, Matthias, and I love you.
Thank you.
Raphael, you have anything you want to talk about?
So I forgot to mention this the last couple of times I've been on, but I remembered this time because I'm in the middle of something. So I do a little acting here and there, and I just wanted to let people know that a collection of shorts, much in the style of like Night Gallery with Rod Serling, by the name of Lady Belladonna's Nightshades, is up and available for free on Amazon Prime. In that, there is a short in which I play a husband to my wife, who is my literal wife, and she plays a serial killer. And like I said, the whole thing's for free. It is campy, schlocky, and corny with the absolute intention to do that, and it's done so lovingly. And reason I bring that up, not only can you stream it now for free, but I am in the middle of recording the sequel in which I play a hellbound Ed Wood, Angora sweater and falsies and everything. And so we're going to be shooting that at the end of this month. It'll be fun. I'm not in the shorts this time. I'm in the segue segments, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. And so go check it out. I hope you like it.
I certainly did when I watched the skit that you and Marissa were in. It was very, very silly.
I will say, y'all are lucky I wasn't on Team Vash. I would just have spent my whole opening argument talking about how much of a lady boner I have for Wolfwood.
Lady boners and shit mouths.
Really.
Giant crucifix-shaped lady boner.
It's full of mercy.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Smash Fiction. Next week, we have the 29th episode of Extraordinary League. And the week after that, by popular demand, Darth Vader versus Mewtwo.
Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman and production assistant Sharon Schneiderman, with logo design by Claire Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Hitman.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight. I mean, look, you're shitting with your butt. You've forgotten the face of your father.
Yeah, Kit didn't have headphones on for that particular
Miles, you know what? I'll admit it. That was it. That was what did it.
Damn it, Miles.
I have no fucking regrets. None. No, Matthias. Good recording conditions is superior always to post-production work. Always.
Says the man that won't turn off his AC.
You live in Flagstaff. I refuse to sacrifice my personal comfort.
Matthias, that was the most elegant burn I think we've ever had on the show.
Good thing Miles has his AC on.